So this video is going to review writing function rules for translations. So a couple things to remember. If we have f of x plus k, that means we are either moving it up or down. If we have f of x minus h, that means we're either moving it right or left. And then remember, when we multiply by -1, that means that we are going to reflect over the x-axis. So we can determine a shift in a graph based on the changes made to the parent function. The equation f of x equals x squared is called a parent function. This is our original graph, and then we make changes to it. So we might move it from to the left or the right, we might move it up or down, we might change the direction that the graph opens. So other examples of parent functions are down here. So notice that they all just have an x with them. They don't have any plus or minus numbers along with that. So describe the change made to the graph. So remember that if we have f of x plus k, we are either going to move it up if it's plus, and we are going to move it down if it's minus. So in the first one, we have f of x equals 5, or x to the 5th plus 9, which means we would go up 9. And number 2, we have f of x equals the absolute value of x minus 15, which means that we would go down 15. Then we also have f of x minus h, which moves the graph to the right if it's a minus, and to the left if it's a plus. Remember, this one's a little counterintuitive because it's more like the point slope where we used to put in that opposite signed number. So the first one, we have f of x equals parentheses x minus 3 to the 4th power, which means that we are going to move right 3. Number 4, we have f of x equals parentheses x plus 9 squared, which in this case means that we would move left 9. The last one, we multiply by 9, remember that we are going to reflect over the x-axis. So in this case, we would just reflect over the x-axis. So now let's take a shift and write the function rule. So remember that the exponent is always going to stay outside the parentheses if we have a right or left movement, and up and down are going to stay outside of the parentheses, so we don't have to worry about the exponents if there is one. So we have a shift to the right, and we're going to go up 6. Remember, a shift to the right is a minus sign in the parentheses, and up 6 is plus 6 on the outside. So our equation would be f of x equals, we're going to leave f of x alone, we're going to do it to the x squared to show our shifts. So we would have parenthesis x minus 3. We're going to write our exponent that we already had before, the squared, plus 6. Number 7, reflect over the x-axis. Remember, that means we multiply by -1 and moves left 9, which is a plus 9 in the parentheses. So we had f of x equals, the -1 goes on the outside, times our parenthesis x plus 9, and we had an exponent of 4, so an exponent of 4 on the outside of the parenthesis. Number 9, f of x equals the absolute value of x. So we're going to reflect over the x-axis, which means we're going to multiply by -1. We're going to shift right, which is minus 3, and up 2, which is plus 2. So we would have f of x equals -1. Now this time, instead of using parentheses, because we have absolute value bars, we're going to use that grouping symbol instead. X minus 3 to show we're going right, and then plus 2 on the outside. Number 10, reflect over the x-axis, which means we're going to multiply by -1 and write 19. So we're going to do minus 19 in the parenthesis. So we have h of x equals negative, that's already there, times -1, parenthesis x minus 19 to the 3rd power. Now, we can clean this up a little because there's 2 negatives that make a positive. So our final answer should be h of x equals parenthesis x minus 19 to the 3rd, because the 2 negatives cancel each other out. Number 11, f of x equals x plus 3 squared. So now we already have a number in the parentheses, so when we move right, we're still going to subtract 7, and up we're going to add 3. So if there's a number in the parentheses, it's still going to stay in the parentheses. We have x plus 3, then we're going to do our shift to the right, so minus 7 to the 2nd power, plus 3 to go up. Now, these two numbers in the parentheses can combine together, so we get f of x equals x minus 4 squared plus 3. Number 13, h of x equals x minus 7 cubed plus 13. So in this case, we're going to go right 9, so minus 9, and down 17, so minus 17. So we would have h of x equals, parenthesis, x minus 7 was the original, minus 9 for our movement right, cubed, plus 13 minus 17, because we're going down 17. So 13 and 17 can combine to become minus 4. Negative 7 and negative 9 can combine in the parentheses. So we have h of x equals, parenthesis, x minus 16 cubed.